Hey guys, it's Bryn with the Mama on the Rocks, and I am here with Melissa Huey. And let's see, I'm admitting some more people in here as they come. Um,
Hello.
there's Audrey,
Hi.
and don't worry, my mom's here, and it looks like, Mom, you look like you're in Unsolved Mysteries, and someone's interviewing you, and so they're blurring your face, and when you talk, it's gonna sound like it's coming through one of those voice things.
Hey.
My mom's in the mafia, you guys, and she's protecting her identity.
Is that wine in your glass?
This is actually coconut rum and vodka. That's a lie. I keep saying vodka like I drink vodka. Coconut rum and cranberry juice.
Oh.
It's delicious. Okay, so now that I'm all really professional. So we are going to talk today. We're talking to Melissa. Anybody who is here now or watching the playback, Melissa and I have been friends since like second grade or something. And so I have lots of memories of Melissa in the glass hallway in Fulton Middle School. I think we had tons of times where we played games in your mom's basement in Heathwood Village Apartments.
Definitely.
Like 1,000 memories, and now she lives in Michigan because she's a big giant trader. But it's fine. I don't have any hard feelings at all. So Melissa, I'm going to have you introduce yourself here in a minute, but what I want people to know about you is that you're a mom of like basically enough kids to make a sports team, it feels like. Your oldest, Isaiah, has autism, and he is a freaking stud. Mia, your daughter, is it Mia or Maya?
Mia.
Yeah, I thought so. So Mia basically looks exactly like you did. I feel like I'm looking at my friend in 7th grade when I see her.
I know.
Your boys are so adorable. Your husband is a rock star, and he cuts hair, and I'm a little bit jealous. I wish he would come here like once a month and handle my husband and my son. And whenever I've said anything to you about like, what do, you're like, well, I'm just a housekeeper. Well, I just clean houses. And I'm like, excuse me, first of all, I don't even want to do that to my own house. So don't be dismissive of that. And also, I see how your clients love you so much. They like shower you with gifts and they're so kind to you. So I know you work your butt off, and that's something you should be proud of. And you are a freaking rock star mom. And when I see like you're not only are you an advocate for your son, but also you make like snowmen out of presents at Christmas, and you take these awesome vacations to serve underprivileged kids with your family every year. And I'm like, this mom is killing it. So don't you dare say I am just anything. But I want you to kind of introduce yourself and just talk just briefly about just becoming a mom and then the sort of initial diagnostic process with Isaiah.
Okay, I'm Melissa Huey. I am 38. I live in Michigan. I have 4 kids: Isaiah, 21, Mia, 16, Cameron, 10, Chad, 8. And I am a housekeeper. I actually stayed home for 12 years with my kids. Isaiah, when he was younger, his behavioral challenges, I couldn't work. So I basically devoted my life to the kids. I stayed home for 12 years. Chris worked, took care of the bills and stuff, and I took care of the house. That was my job, was taking care of the house and taking care of the kids and making sure all those things were taken care of. So we were a good team, you know?
Yeah.
And then, so how I got into the housekeeping thing was once all my kids went to school, I thought, God, now what am I going to do with myself? You know, I can't just sit around all the time. You know, I've got to find something. There's got to be something I can do. And I feel like at my age, I'm not going to go back to school. I don't feel like I can ever really have a real 9-to-5 job with an autistic child. And well, now he's an autistic adult who still lives at home. You know, I don't know if he'll ever move out. So you know, that's a hard thing for me even now at 21 years later, is I'll never really have a career per se, because I can't do the time. I can't put in the time, you know, and all that. So this housekeeping thing is amazing. I love it. But the flashback to when Isaiah was first diagnosed, I started noticing things when he was about 2 or 3, and I was a teen mom. I got pregnant when I was 16. So I had him, I just turned 17. So I was very, very young. I was still in high school. I was doing my best, but autism back then, the early 2000s, wasn't as popular as it is today, per se. And being a teen mom, it was like I didn't have anything to compare it to. So at the time I was going to this baby class, and it was basically for teen moms, and we would all get together and talk about, our problems and stuff like that of being a teen mom, and, school and taking care of the babies. And a lot of us were single moms. So I was doing that, and, I could see Isaiah with the other kids, and I noticed, okay, he's not doing certain things that these other kids are doing. So that was when I first started noticing something's up with him. Mm-hmm. And I couldn't, and when I look back, it was like, I couldn't put my finger on what I exactly thought was going on with him. And I think that's the thing with autism is when you can't really put your finger on it, you're like, yeah, that's the spectrum of it, because it's so big and so wide, and everybody's so different, and everybody has these own, manifestations of their behaviors and all that. So at 2, 3, I really started to notice. And then at 4, I remember my mom being like, you really need to have him looked at. And I was like, yeah, you're right, Mom, I should, So then I started talking to the doctors and stuff, and that all takes time. You guys know it takes time. So it's not like an instantaneous thing. So, the months go by, and we're getting, we're starting to get diagnosis, and they're going through all the testing and all that stuff. And I got pregnant with Mia. So Isaiah was 4, almost 5. And I was about 5 months pregnant with Mia, and I found out that he was autistic. And in a way, it was just a huge relief, because it just made sense. It just made sense at that point, that all the things that I didn't know, and why did he do this, and what were all the things that we were dealing with, it just made sense. It was autism, bottom line. That was just the end of it, and so once we got the diagnosis, it was just so much easier to get the services and the help that we needed. So the early intervention was huge. I wish we would have gotten it a little bit earlier, but anyway, he's doing amazing now, and I'm so thankful for the early intervention and all that, because it was huge.
I loved, for his 21st birthday, he wanted to go to the casino. And
yes, that was awesome.
Of him, I died. I was like, why am I not with him right now? This would be the most fun thing ever in history. He looked like he was having the best time of his life.
It was so fun.
And so I know I've seen pictures of him at some kind of like, is it a job? Is he still technically reporting to the high school? Because I know in some states you don't age out till 21 or 22. Can you talk about that, like what that looks like in high school and as they're transitioning to adulthood?
Yes, actually, we are so fortunate here in Midland, Michigan, for special needs adults. It's unbelievable, the amount of services and help that they have here. I could cry thinking about how many services there are here for special needs adults. It's so cool. So anyway, 2 years ago, Isaiah graduated from high school. And after he graduated, there is a program here called post-secondary. And it's basically a program for intellectually disabled adults, more higher functioning, they want them to learn life skills at that point. So they'll go to school, basically kind of the regular school hours from 7:30 to 2:30. They'll go to, they actually meet, their classroom is at their local community center. So it's kind of nice, because then they can do like walking the track, they can go swimming, they can do all the activities at the community center, kind of like gym and stuff. It's pretty cool. So, and then every day of the week, they have 2 different job sites that they go to. And so this year, Isaiah worked at Tractor Supply and Walgreens, just stocking shelves, dog food, inventorying, going through, getting rid of things that were expired. And, it's so funny, because if you would have if you would have told me 15 years ago that my son would work, that he would have a job and he would enjoy it, I would have laughed in your face. And I would have said, yeah, right. Do you see this kid? Like, are you kidding me right now? You're kidding me, you know, because his behaviors and his everything was just so overwhelming, you know, and I used to cry myself to sleep at night and go, how am I going to do this forever? How am I going to do this forever? Like, I can't foresee this being forever. Something has got to give, you know, and that's where just aging, you know, aging, they just learn to deal with their emotions, and, you know, just aging, everybody ages, and it just takes time sometimes, you know, especially with kids with special needs. It may take several years to learn a specific skill and be able to go with it, but eventually they will definitely get it.
Yeah. Talk to me about, because you have a household with, first of all, you have a blended family. And
Yes.
secondly, you have kids in really staggered age groups. So
Yeah.
talk to me about how Isaiah's siblings respond and relate to him, and how that's been sort of raising supportive siblings.
Yeah, it's pretty cool. All my kids, you know, when I had Isaiah, I was a teen mom. So after I had Isaiah, I was like, well, obviously I can't have any kids for a while because I'm in high school still, you know. So and his dad ended up going to prison and this whole big long thing. So anyway, that was over. But I met Chris, the other kid's dad, when Isaiah was 6 months old, and we've been together ever since, almost 21 years. So that's awesome. So anyway, back to the kids. When I had Isaiah, I was a teen mom, so I was like, not having any kids anytime soon. Well, then I got pregnant with Mia, and that was right when I found out Isaiah was autistic. And it was like, well, I don't think I'm going to be able to have any more kids for a while because he was so challenging. And it was just like, how am I going to have a newborn and all this going on? Like, I just could not wrap my mind around having any more. There was no way. So then 5 years later, Mia was going to kindergarten, and it was like, you know, at that point Isaiah was 10 and, you know, almost going into middle school. And I don't know, I just felt like I wasn't done yet, and I wanted to have more kids. And I finally thought I could do it, you know, because Isaiah was starting to be a little bit easier and more manageable and stuff. So then we had Cameron, and then, so that was 5 years later. So then the three older ones are all 5 years apart. And then I had Chad when Cameron was 2.5. So then the two younger ones are 2.5 years apart. But Mia and Isaiah, you know, Isaiah was so just in his own world back then. So he didn't really pay a whole lot of attention to Mia at first. You know, I mean, he would talk to her and, you know, play with her and stuff, but I don't know, it wasn't a big deal to him. Well, when I had Cameron, he was 10. And so he was older, you know, and it was so funny because he still loves babies. He absolutely loves babies. And I think it's because he doesn't have to talk to them. He doesn't have to have a conversation with them. He doesn't feel pressure from them. You know, he just wants to rub their little heads and, you know, smell their little hair. And he's just so sweet with babies. I think that's the saddest thing about not having any more kids, is because I'm not having any more babies for him to smell, you know? So when I had Cameron and Chad, it was just really nice to see Isaiah come out of his shell and really love the babies. So he loved the babies. So now he's like, oh my God, get these animals away from me, you know, like, why did you have these guys? But yeah, when they were little, he just absolutely loved them. But like Mia, I'm so glad I had a girl, you know, because she's just a sister. She's just a lover, and she's just like a carer. And with Isaiah, you know, being autistic, and they have a program here through Community Mental Health, and it's basically community living supports. It helps them go out into the community, you know, go to events. And basically it's hard for me as a mom to 4 kids, little kids, to take him out and do the things that he needs to do as an adult now, because I have all these other kids, you know, and it's like, it's not fair to him. So that's why these other supports come in and help him get out in the community, which is so awesome. I love it. Yeah. So anyway, back to Mia. When she turns 18, she wants to work with Isaiah and be his community living support. So basically she'll get paid to take him out and do all the fun things with him. So it's like she's already thinking ahead in a couple years to wanting to help him, you know, for years to come. And I've even talked to Cameron about it, who's only 10. I'm like, you know, someday you can work with Isaiah. And he was even like, yeah, I do that, Mom. I would like to do that. So it's really sweet that they want to help him.
So I can see that. I mean, seriously, just watching your kids grow up over the last several years just through social media, Mia, first of all, not just looks like you, she reminds me of you a lot. And I love to see that interaction between the two of them, because I know that's something I worry about with our two kids. And ours are 5 years apart as well, because Briggs was so much to manage that I thought
Yeah.
I would have 3 or 4 kids. And then I was like, pump the brakes. I need to call in the reinforcements. This kid is not a joke.
Yeah.
And it's been funny because everybody says your kids will be different. And Briggs was actually quite an easy baby. And then it wasn't until he was a little older that his behavior started to be pronounced. Whereas Sparrow is like hell on wheels, always has been, is afraid of nothing. Well, like she is the opposite. And so it's like, I don't know what I did to deserve this, but whatever, it's fine. It's fine. But in saying that, like, that's one of the main reasons I wanted to talk to you. Like, it gives hope to those of us that have younger kids to see how that will happen. Because, like, for instance, one thing that I'm really concerned about, and you can speak to this a little bit, is like we're in sort of this pre-puberty stage right now. And then next, the pubescent stage, everybody talks about like, okay, their meds are probably going to change. Their needs are going to change. You're going to have to talk to them about, you know, they're going to have the same type of bodily developments and the same type of feelings and urges, but that looks different when you have a child with a mental delay or a disability. Like, how did you and Chris handle that when Isaiah was getting older?
You know, I don't know if I've ever really had like the talk with him, you know. He's never really he's never really done anything to where I would, you know, like, okay, sorry if this is too much information, but like masturbation wise, like I've never walked in on anything like that, or, you know, so I've never really like brought it up. I didn't know if I don't know. I guess I've never really like had the actual talk with him. He's never really said anything about girls, or, you know, he's talked to a few girls here and there, but it's never been like anything sexual, or I don't know. I guess he's 21, but mentally he's not, you know what I mean? So I don't know. We're still kind of working through that, I guess.
Audrey, do you have a, like the delay for your son, for Kason? I know for Briggs, like he's academically like a 7th grader. He is actually a 3rd grader, so he's actually only 8, but his developmental age is about 3 years behind as far as like emotionally and that kind of thing. Like, do you know that? Have you guys talked about that with your specialist?
We haven't really talked about that. Both my kids are high functioning autistic, even my 4-year-old. But so academically, they're both super smart. Emotionally, they're definitely behind. But we've never, at this point, we don't have an age range that they are, but neither of them understand any emotions.
Sure. So Melissa, you talked about early on with Isaiah, his behaviors. What did that look like early on? And then as he got older, did he still struggle with that kind of thing when he's like trying to self-regulate? Or, because that's something I'm like, right now, Briggs is only 8, but I'll just tell you, we have had times where his meltdowns, he would absolutely whoop my hind end all day, every day. So I'm definitely have concerns because we've had to restrain for sure to keep him from self-harm. So talk to us a little bit about that.
Yeah, when Isaiah was younger, I couldn't take him anywhere. Let's just start there. We were prisoners of our own house for probably a good 5 to 7 years. I couldn't take him anywhere out in public. It would just be a complete shit show, to say the least.
Sure.
And I would get the looks like, really, lady? Oh my God. You know, and here I am. I'm a single teen mom, and then I'm getting the looks like, really, can you control your kid? Like, you're the worst person right now. And it's just like, oh my God,
right,
I need to leave, you know, I just need to go. So I would only go out if my parents would watch Isaiah. So like either my mom or his other grandma would watch him, for me to go grocery shop or basically to do anything.
Yeah.
I couldn't take him to do anything because it was just a mess.
Yeah.
So, and he would scream, he would cry for hours. He ate very, very little. His eating habits drove me up the wall. It's gotten a lot better over the years, thank God, but he's still pretty particular about his food. He hated school. When he was little, I remember kindergarten. I remember having to chase him around the front yard, pick him up and throw him over my shoulder and carry him kicking and screaming on the bus. I would be in tears like every day of the week. Like, oh my God, I can't do this every day. Like, is this real? Is this real life? Like, is this real life? Because this is
Rita K,
some bullshit.
Please attest to how many times I have texted her and been like, it will be late at night and I'm like, come and get your grandkids. Like, she lives states away and I'm like, come and get these fools. I am out. Like, I'm done.
Yeah. So, you know, it's just like, oh my God. Sometimes you're just like, I can't even believe this is really happening.
Yes.
And like happening again, you know,
Yes.
This isn't the first time. So, and then, you know, it was just a lot of repetitive, even though he hated doing it. All those years of me fighting him to get to school, and it was just, it sucked, you know, it was tough. And all those years of doing all those things, making him do all the things he didn't want to do, probably for the last, I would say 8 years, he gets up, he takes a shower in the morning, he gets his stuff around, he gets everything he needs for school, he goes out the door and he waits for his bus at 6:30 in the morning.
Wow.
You know, and it's like, I think back to all the times of dragging him on the bus, kicking and screaming and thinking, God, why God, you know, why do we have to do this, you know? And then now it's like all my hard work, all our hard work has paid off, you know, like it's just takes years sometimes to master these things.
Right. So does he still struggle with behaviors, or how does that look different now that he's an adult?
No, not really. He doesn't really have behaviors. It's more anxiety ridden nowadays, you know, and he's always been really anxiety ridden, his whole life, you know, and routines really help that, as long as he's kind of doing his routine and he can foresee what's going to happen. He knows what's coming, stuff like that. Back in the day, if something with the routine was off, it would go all to hell. And it would be the rest of the night would be ruined completely. And maybe even the next day, you know, it would be hard to reel him back in at that point. But now it's like, if something isn't going like usual or something comes up, I'll just let him know, you know, Isaiah, this happened or whatever. And he's totally cool with it. He doesn't totally freak out now. And he's an emotional kind of kid. Every once in a while he'll just cry about something. I'll be like, what's the matter, bud? And he'll be like, I don't know. You know, it's like, he don't even know. He's just an emotional, and it's just time to let it out, you know? So it's kind of funny, but over the years, he's really, really changed and just turned into an awesome little kid.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. It gives me hope. That Audrey, are you like, yes, please God, because that's what I feel like right now. Definitely. Oh my gosh. Because it's terrifying and you don't know.
No, I remember those days. Like I said, I used to cry myself to sleep and go, how, there's no way I can do this. There is absolutely no way I can do this for the rest of my life. And I didn't see the light at the end of the tunnel. I didn't see it. But now that I've lived it and he's 21, you know, that's why I feel it's so important to be, you know, a voice for a hope for moms, you know, that really, you guys need the hope, because you don't see the light at the end of the tunnel, because it's dark at times. It's really dark at times.
Well, and I think it's funny, like, you had Isaiah when you were 17, and so I didn't have Briggs for like 15, well, I can't do math. Let's just not even pretend. It was like 12 years.
You're 38, he's 8.
But I know, I'm trying to figure out how old was I versus how old she was when she had Isaiah. Okay, it was something like 12-ish years. The point, okay? There's like 12 years difference between when you had Isaiah and I had Briggs. Here's the point. The point is, like, in that 12 years time, so much changed for children with special needs, resources for parents. And I'm looking at Briggs is 8. He started showing we knew something was wrong at 18 months. We knew, hands down, no question, we knew it.
Yeah.
And I started this group going on 4 years ago now. And I'm like, how crazy is it? How many, in just that amount of time, how many
Yeah.
people now have resources? And I just started it because I was like, there is freaking nothing. I am a crazy person and no one understands. And
Right.
so I'm so grateful that you have spoken up and that you put on awesome stuff on Facebook about like Isaiah living his life and being a man. And that's just so awesome for us to see. Because more times than not, I'm like, my child is going to lead a gang in prison someday. Like, I am for sure going to visit him behind plate glass. Like, he's going to be on Criminal Minds. That's it. Like, that's
Right.
and
I know. I have a 10-year-old with oppositional defiance disorder too. So I'm even, some days with that kid, I'm like, oh my God, what? Whoa, what am I going to do with this one?
No, exactly. But the one thing that I wanted to ask before we finish tonight is, can you kind of give us a little bit of like, this was the thing I was worried about the most in raising an extreme child or a child with special needs. And then now that I'm on the other side of that, here's a little bit of hope for parents that are going through it right now. Because like you said yourself, it can feel really dark. And I know for a fact that a lot of us are in that place right now. So.
I think if there's things that you're worried about, I wish I would have done this. If there's things that you're worried about, okay, my child won't do this, my child won't ride a bike, my child won't tie shoes, my child won't use the bathroom, all those things, we have all those worries. Write everything down, every single thing that you are worried about, because I'm telling you what, every day, every month, every year, your child is going to start checking off all those things. And then you're going to see the progress. Like, I think back to all the things that I was worried about that Isaiah wouldn't do, and all the things that he has gone above and beyond, like, has blew my mind. I mean, the kid's a musical genius.
Mm-hmm.
He's taught himself how to play piano, by himself, through, watching YouTube videos. And I mean, he's a prodigy, it's unbelievable. So, I mean, the thing about special needs kids is, don't ever put anything past them. They're going to get there in their own time every time. So you just give them the right supports to be the best that they can absolutely be, and they're going to get there. It's just in their own time, but I guess the thing that's blew my mind the most probably is the working thing, because I would have never, ever thought he would work and enjoy it and be proud of himself. Like, I'll ask him, I'm like, Isaiah, how was work today? And he'll be like, it was good. And what'd you do? And he'll say, I stocked dog food, and I just, it almost brings tears to my eyes, because I never thought he would do that. I never thought he would work. And it's just so awesome. I'm so proud of him.
I love that you said, like, I've written and talked a lot about special needs parents and extreme parents, making sure they take the time as they go through the diagnostic process, which you mentioned is a whole separate giant journey itself. And it brings a lot of relief, but it also brings a lot of fear and a lot of anxiety in parents, that you talked about, like, taking time to grieve things like, my career isn't going to look like what I thought it would, or my marriage isn't going to look like what I thought it would, or raising other kids. Like, I thought I would for sure have 3 or 4 kids, and that was a no-go, like, hard pass, maybe.
Yeah.
I don't even know about that. And so I think it's important for us to consider, the world is not going to ever understand extreme parenting. I just gave up on that a long time ago, and that's fine. But it's important that we support each other, and in realizing just what a sacrifice it is to raise our kids, and to take pride in knowing that, I fully believe that God could have picked anyone to raise my kid. And some days I'm like, really good joke, thanks. But at the same time, like, no one else could parent that little spitfire like I can. And
Right.
so really kind of encouraging each other and recognizing that we are freaking really strong. because how many times can you look back on and say, how did I physically, emotionally, spiritually make it through that? I don't know.
Yeah.
And there's so many times, and Briggs is only 8. And so I can't imagine when he's 21 how many times I'll look back and be like, dang, like I was a gangster. Like,
Yeah.
that's awesome that I made it through that. And so, yeah, I just wanted to thank you so much for taking time to talk to us, taking time to talk about what it really is like, and just for constantly being a source of hope for me personally. Because Isaiah, first of all, is freaking handsome as crap. And I just adore him. And I'm a little bit sad I didn't get to be his teacher, because I would have absolutely asked him to
Oh.
on a date, because he's such a
That would have been the best.
oh yeah, for sure. So hug all those babies, and thank you so, so much. Any questions before I let Melissa go? Because she was super nervous and she has wine to drink.
Good job, Melissa.
Thank you.
All right. Thanks, Melissa. I'll talk to you soon.
All right. It was fun, guys. Have a good night.
Bye.